Sam and Bucky realize that their futures are anything but normal. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 1. So we start out the episode with Falcon getting briefed on a plane by the military. We find out later on he has been working for the military for a little bit now, about a criminal organization known as LAF. Now they're threatening to hijack a plane and kidnap a Colonel Vasant. And they also tell Falcon that he has a liaison on the ground who's going to be helping him out by the name of Torres. So we see Falcon ends up making his way to the plane and then realizes that the plane has already been hijacked. So he gets onto the plane and starts to fight the bad guys. And then he ends up having to follow him out of the plane, and there are some really good action sequences here where we get mid-air fights and things like that where he's flying through a canyon as well. And we really get to see, like, the CGI work in this was pretty decent. I actually thought it was good. And we end up cutting after the mid-air battle and everything to Falcon doing some electrical work on his gear outside of a bar in Tunisia, I think is how you pronounce it. And he's talking to Torres, and this is where we kind of find out that he's been working for the military for a little bit now, and he says he can't stick around. He's got to get back to Washington. So he heads back to Washington, and he does a press conference about Captain America. Now, I kind of found this very interesting because he's very, like, when he looks at the shield, he doesn't feel like it belongs to him. It feels like it's somebody else's, and he actually says that a little bit later on in the episode. And he doesn't really want to take up the mantle. So he gives the shield over to these people who put it in a glass case, and then they display it next to Captain America's, suit. So I thought that was very interesting for this because he was supposed to take up the mantle. But we'll end up seeing, like, what the reasons are later on in the episode as we go through, because he doesn't really seem like he's confident to be Captain America. And we do end up cutting to a hotel scene where Bucky breaks through a wall and starts killing all these people to get to a target. And all of a sudden we see him wake up, like, from sleeping on the floor, and we find out it was just a dream. So we do cut to see him at his therapist's therapy session. And as he's sitting there talking to the therapist, she asks him about having any bad dreams, and he keeps trying to say no, but she knows he's lying. And he does open up a little bit to her, but he talks about names on a list and how he's trying to make up for his past. So we see he's really trying to be a better person since they got rid of the brainwashing from Hydra in Wakanda for him. So we really see that he's trying to do something good with, the time he's been given. Excuse me. And we end up finding out that Bucky is now a civilian, and he really doesn't know what to do. He looks extremely lost, being a civilian, and he's trying to adjust to the civilian life, but he doesn't really know how to, and it's hard for him. We see that he ends up taking a friend of his, an older man, out to lunch, and we learn a little bit about what's going on between them, and later on we find out the reason why he kind of hangs out with this old man. And while they're out to lunch, the old man ends up setting him up with a date with one of the waitresses that works at this little place that they're at. So, Bucky literally is like, well, I haven't really done this since 1944, or it feels like it. So, everybody's kind of looking at him like, what? You're 1944. What do you mean? Because they don't realize how old he is. And during the date, they end up, he does go to the date. So he is like trying. And during the date, they end up getting onto the subject about talking about dead relatives. And it really gets to Bucky. We really see that. And he takes off. So we see that he's trying to get back out there, but he's literally like 106 years old, and he really doesn't know what to do because he's only done one thing until they got him out of Hydra, basically. And you can see it's really hard for him, and he's really struggling with this, but he's also trying at the same time. He just doesn't understand what to really do, and that, unfortunately, is something that a lot of soldiers have to deal with, especially if they've seen combat, and it's very hard for them. And unfortunately, that is a reality that a lot of people have to deal with. But we do end up going to Switzerland, where Torres is at a big meeting rally with these bunch of people. And we see somebody come out and start handing out a bunch of masks, so he puts one on. And then we see a bank get robbed, and everybody starts running around because one of the guy who robbed the bank also has the same mask on. And after all of this goes down, Torres calls up Sam and says, hey, I need you to get to a secure line to check out this footage I'm going to send you of the leader of the Flag Smashers. So this new terrorist organization is called the Flag Smashers. We do learn a little bit about them, how they want to get rid of all nations and all borders to become one world. But their intentions probably aren't, for the betterment of mankind, especially when they're robbing, banks and trying to kidnap people. So the episode ends with him watching this and then turning on the TV and watching the Department of Defense have a press conference and announcing something very, very huge, which really kind of shocks Sam. And that's where it leaves off. So it leaves off on a big cliffhanger, which I thought was actually pretty good. The effects in this were great. We get a solid 10 minutes of CGI action at the start with like some midair flight scenes and battles. And we actually get to see like the Falcon fly through the canyon and how he's able to pop his wings in and out like real fast. And like the wingspan of it was kind of a detriment to him during the canyon flight scene where he's trying to stop the bad guys. So I thought that was actually pretty good. The CGI in this was just as good as WandaVision, I think. A lot of it, the rest of this was actually practical effects. But the CGI work in this I thought was pretty good. The acting in this I thought actually was great. I honestly thought Bucky was the more interesting character in this episode. With his personal demons and nightmares that he's having. He could really have his own show. In exploring all of that, especially with his list of names he has that he talks about. I do like the fact that Sam was confident as Falcon, but not confident enough to take on the mantle of Captain America. But I honestly think Bucky was the more interesting character in this. So we'll see where all this leads. Hopefully we get a little bit more of Sam being a little bit more confident and maybe ready to take on the mantle a little bit later. But as of right now, we do get some of Sam's like personal story as well. Especially they talk about the blip and things like that throughout this episode. So this is a very different show than WandaVision was. WandaVision was more along the lines of sitcoms and soap opera type stuff. And this is like kind of regular Marvel stuff that we would see in like one of the movies. So this is almost like back to business for them. You know, so it's really more drama based and character driven. So I thought this was a good opening episode. The cliffhanger in this alone was great as well. I honestly can't wait to see the next episode. I would give this at least an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty good opening show for this. If you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe, as I'll be doing more content each week. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Take care for now, everybody.